Welcome back. Let's take you directly to Lucknow, outside the State Assembly there, where BJP workers are holding the State Assembly to ransom, protesting outside the State Assembly, protesting the deteriorating law and order in the state. These visuals you can see of police trying to control the BJP workers who have gathered outside the State Assembly in Uttar Pradesh, protesting the current law and order situation. We are getting in word that the police has been forced to use water cannons to dissuade the BJP workers, where this protest quickly getting out of hand. These are the latest visuals that we can get for our viewers at this point of time. The police in riot gear trying to control this protest, which seemingly has gone out of hands. What we do know is that there was a clarion call by the BJP state unit in Uttar Pradesh to gather outside the State Assembly and protest against the deteriorating law and order situation. Things quickly went out of hand. The police was forced to lathi charge and use water cannons. Well, these were the visuals of water cannons being used against BJP protesters, recorded just a short while back. Even lathi charge was used. The force of lathis was also used to curtail this particular protest, which was organized, seen as a political protest, organized outside the State Assembly in the state of Uttar Pradesh in Lucknow. Well, as we speak, the police still trying to get things under control, but things are getting out of hand is what we are getting to know at this point of time. This protest was organized by BJP workers. Senior leaders of the BJP unit not involved in this particular protest, the grassroots cadres there, all of them gathered in hundreds outside the State Assembly in Lucknow in order to protest what they say is complete disarray when it comes to law and order. The police forced to use force. As you can see, the BJP state unit workers trying to breach the barricades. You can see that on your television screens, and that is when the police was forced to use water cannons and resort to a mild lathi charge. Complete chaos outside the State Assembly in Lucknow there. The police in complete riot gear trying to dissuade the people from entering the State Assembly. They tried to breach barriers, and that is when the UP police was forced to use water cannons and resort to lathi charge. The main motive of this political protest to ride on the abject disarray that the law and order situation is in Uttar Pradesh, to maybe earn political mileage from the same. Well, that was the clear intention of the BJP. Senior leaders of the BJP not involved in this particular protest. However, things quickly going out of hand. You can see on your television screen complete chaos outside the Lucknow State Assembly. Police resorting to water cannons and even lathi charge, trying to dissuade the crowds who attempted to breach barriers and enter the State Assembly. We're going to try and connect to my colleague Amir Haq. He's been reporting on the ground, getting us the very latest. It does seem that there are also use of tear gas shells at this point of time. There you have it, things escalating there. The visuals being reported there, filed outside the Lucknow State Assembly. The main motive, to ride that political wave which is emerging in the state of Uttar Pradesh by the complete lack of law and order by a state government completely failing to take control. Senior leaders of the BJP were not involved in this protest. These were grassroots workers. They tried to breach barriers, and that is when the Uttar Pradesh police resorted to lathi charge and the use of water cannons and even tear gas shelling is what is being reported, all in order to control the crowds there. The BJP clearly had sensed blood after the general elections and the number of seats that they had won in Uttar Pradesh. In a clear attempt to capitalize on that, they have been organizing these protests over the last month and a half, ever since the assembly election results have come out. And today you can see a result of one of that, this political protest completely going out of hand, where the BJP workers trying to breach barricades, enter the State Assembly, the police trying to dissuade them, and then ultimately chaos reigning on the streets outside the State Assembly, where the police has to resort to lathi charge, water cannon and even tear gas shelling. We're going to try and connect to one of our reporters on the ground, reporting on the situation, trying to see if things have actually been brought under control. But right now, indications suggest that the police still trying to calm things, but things quickly escalating, getting out of hand. No senior BJP leader involved in this particular protest, but hundreds of other BJP cadres of the state organizing and part of this protest, staging this protest outside the State Assembly in Lucknow. All right, let's try and connect to Amir Haq, who's on the ground getting us the very latest. Amir, can you first quickly tell us, have the situation been brought under control?
Well, yes, Preeti, this was a planned protest, and the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha, the youth wing of the BJP, had been planning this for the last 2 days. In fact, they did this a little time ahead because perhaps they wanted to avoid the police preparations right before their protest started. Also, since the State Assembly is in session, they wanted their voice to be heard, across the state.
Yes.
And that was why this massive protest was planned. Well, the BJP as such has also been raising these issues of the deterioration in law and order, especially the crime against women. And also there are, issues connected with payment being made to the farmers, cane farmers especially, because their dues have been hanging fire for the last 2 years almost. The cane farmers have not been paid by various private sugar mill owners, on which account the state government had intervened last year and had promised the cane farmers that their dues will be paid in time, but their deadline for payment expires today evening, and still remains to be seen whether the state government is interested in taking some strict steps against the private sugar mill owners as far as payment to on sugar dues, on sugarcane dues is concerned. Also, the issue of BJP leaders across the state being attacked at various places. It started with the Gautam Budh Nagar, Greater Noida, where a BJP leader was targeted, in fact was shot dead about 3 weeks back.
Okay.
And since then there have been a number of cases of attacks involving senior and junior BJP leaders across the state.
Okay.
So these are issues basically which have been taken up by the BJYM here, and because of which these protests are happening.
Also, clearly the BJP state unit has sensed blood in the number of gains that they had made in the general elections and continuing to capitalize on the situation where the state government failing to take control. Appreciate Amir Haq joining us. We, of course, will keep cutting back and getting our viewers the very latest from Lucknow. These visuals outside the State Assembly.